So I was just filling up here at the local Casey's gas station, and I found this little box. I was like, what in the hell is this? I looked at it, it had like a Happy Meal thing, McDonald's thing, but it looked sort of weird, and I figured I'd open it up, maybe a little prize or something. Like I was expecting a hex key or maybe a little screwdriver. That would have been nice to find, but I opened this thing up and it looked like a little guy or a girl. I can't tell these days, you know how it is. But I didn't want nothing to do with it. It seemed a little crazy and demonic. It kept staring at me. It was like it was flirting with me. I didn't want nothing to do with that. It got me feeling all kind of funny and tingly, and I was like, nah, so I left it alone. So anyways, after I got done from work and came back, I figured I'd swing by Casey's again, and I saw it still sitting there, so I grabbed it and I said, maybe I'll just give it a nice good home, take it home and see. So I opened it up, took the little thing out there, and he came with a little sports card. You know, I collect baseball cards, so say too much. Apparently his name is RM and the brain of the team. His mind is always swirling with ideas. RM's skill for look into the future means life and something else. I don't like to read too much, but yeah, he's got a nice flashy little red little jacket going on there. So, you know, I enjoy a man who likes to sit around and drink whiskey. But anyways, there was this QR code that I decided to scan and see what was happening with it. Because I see this little guy out there dancing and whatever. So, yeah, I figured I'd do something with myself. I'm kind of bored waiting for the wife to get off work. Anyways, so here I am playing this game. It looked pretty good. It has some good graphics and stuff. You know, we've come a long way since Pong and Atari and all that. So now I'm here playing a video game on here on my phone and stuff. So while I was playing this game, you know, I saved the QR code. I take the box with me wherever I go now. So whenever I feel a little bored or something, I'll just scan the box and just play this game. And it's kind of nice because I'll just start watching the little things up there dancing, you know, and some of it, you know, they're pretty cute, you know. So apparently this is like characters or something from this BTS. It's like a boy band singer, kind of like a doo-wop group from how I remember back in the day. But yeah, so I sit there and I play that and wait for my wife to get off work, and sometimes I'll get interrupted because I'll get my jackass grandson. He's 22. He's you know, working for his father. You know, my son. They own a whole roofing outfit, and you know, he drives around this big lifted kit truck. He got a bunch of tattoos already, which I say, you know, I earned my tattoos being in the military. Now, any kid with a pencil-sized arms could go and get a little tattoo and feel like he's tough. But you know, you gotta earn those tattoos. But nowadays, shoot, you know, little girl named Anna Lee could go and get her tattoo and look like she's a hard ass. But anyways, yeah, so he calls me up. He always ruins my game sometimes. Sometimes I'm on a streak here while I'm playing this little game. And, you know, I've taken a liking to little TinyTAN. He's a good guy. RM, the one I got, I keep him in my study now. You know, my study's usually something I like to fancy up. It's usually my garage. You know, I go out in the garage when the wife is yapping too much and I just need to clear my head and think like a man. I go out in that garage and, you know, slug down a few and look at little RM sitting up there with his fist in the air like, yeah, don't take no crap from nobody, sir. You know, I'll be like, yeah, you're right, TinyTAN. No worries about that. But then I flip open my phone. Sometimes I'll, you know, play poker on my phone with the little app. But then I'll scan the box, start playing this game again. You know, it's balls. You gotta make sure the balls go in the hole, but you gotta tap the balls on there. You know, it's like I guess a music game. The music's actually pretty good. I appreciate it. You know, sometimes a lot of people from my generation, they just like to listen to the classic rock. You know, the stuff that they can remember back in the day when we'd all get blasted. You know what I'm saying? You know, back in the day, it was a lot easier for us than kids now. You know, like back then, if the cops pulled you over and you had a case of beer in the back or coolers full of beer, you know, you'd be drunk and stuff, but they wouldn't, you know, send you to jail. They'd just take your cooler full of beer. So by the end of the night, policemen would have 30 some odd coolers full of beer just lined up at the police station. They'd have a party once they got off the shift. I don't know if you could hear that in the background, but my wife's cat, I don't know, she's got this thing where she always likes to bring in cats from the street and foster them and all that. You know me, I can't stand cats. I love me a dog. I like a big dog that could help me hunt and fish, you know, run out and get the fish. You know, if a dog doesn't protect your property and can't hunt, what's the whole point of having a dog? You know, I like big dogs. I don't like small dogs. Small dogs are annoying. You know what I'm saying? They're like little men. They just yap, 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 yap. You know, it's just say, don't shut up. You just want to look, hey, boy, hey, little doggy, why don't you shut up? I like a big dog. You know, a big dog when it goes outside, and after a day of it running around, sweating, shit, and pissing all over the place in the yard, and they step in it and walk right back in the house, you know, it's like, hey, you know, that's life. That's what being a real man is all about. And you have the dog jump in your bed while you're sleeping, and you know the shit and piss is all over its paws and all that. You know, that's what being a good, hardcore, awesome old man is all about. Having your big dog, enjoying going out for the hunt. Now, my grandfather taught me, like my daddy taught me, going out hunting. You wake up at 3:30 a.m., get out in that stand, you know, and just talk about how your wife is just not understanding you, and your buddy sitting next to you understands him more. And you know, sometimes I'll think about my old buddies, my old buddies that have passed, and I'll look and be like, you know what? TinyTAN, you remind me of some of them buddies I had. A good old RM with his fist in the area reminds me of some of those buddies. Like, yeah, don't fight up the good fight. You know, just stop listening to that wife and all her jibber jabbering and nagging. You know, be a man and stop, you know, worrying about if you're gonna have a problem with her later. Just be the man. You know, she ain't gonna say nothing else. So, yeah, that's when I get back in the house from the garage. I'm like, grab my keys, and I'm like, I'm going to get out in the truck, honey. I'm getting out in the truck. And she'll be sitting on the couch going, yeah, whatever. You know, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm the man. And I go out driving, and I'll drive around town and just check out new properties that went up for sale and been like, oh, let me look up that Zillow page and see if I can see how much they're going for, see how much my property's going for now, because I bought my house back in 78. It was like about $8,000. And I checked the other day, we're at $500,000 for my house now, so I'm pretty smart. Anyways, bye-bye.